Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Therapy Sessions. I'm your co host, Pam.
Hey y'all, hey.
So today it's all about St. Patrick's Day.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's okay holiday. Not my favorite, but So I guess, Dominique, I guess we need to go ahead and give our start off with our good old spoiler alert. What do you think? You think it's necessary? Is it necessary for this one? Nonetheless, go ahead, give it.
I think we got to do it. We
Mm-hmm.
we have it. It's kind of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go ahead and keep doing the spoiler alert. So spoiler alert. Today's episode, Pam named today's episode. I love it. Pot of gold, pot of gore. We talking about the Leprechaun, y'all. So if you haven't seen the Leprechaun, shame on you.
Shame on you.
Um,
Where have you been?
I'm talking about the original. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
at least the original. If you haven't seen it, yeah, shame on you. We're gonna go ahead and this will be the one thing we shame people on, I guess. Maybe well, there might
Yeah.
be other stuff. It don't matter.
What? Yeah.
The
You
newer
know,
stuff, we get it. Like we get it because we gave up on it after a while too. But
it got ridiculous. Much like
Mhm.
many of the slasher films back in the day, I didn't even consider this a horror at first, honestly. But it grew. I mean, he's a little creepy little fella, so I guess it's a horror movie. I definitely
Mhm.
was watching it when it came out, and I was like 10 or something. But
Mhm.
nonetheless, so today we're going to go a little deeper into leprechauns and what the whole St. Patrick's thing is about. And so let's dive into like understanding where the leprechaun whole legend came from and talk first about what St. Patrick's Day was, where it came from. Like, how familiar are you with that story, Dominique?
Pretty familiar. Don't ask me no dates because I can't remember the dates. However, I know that initially, St. Patrick's Day was a religious holiday, and for some, it still might be. But for everybody else who isn't Irish, it's a party day, right? And so, originally, St. Patrick, first of all, there's a whole lot of myths and lore that come with St. Patrick's Day in general. But St. Patrick was not Irish at all. He was actually British Roman. He was enslaved in Ireland, and he escaped and brought the folks back to, to save the Irish people from the evils of paganism. Like, okay, bro,
Ironically, yeah.
they were doing ironic. They were doing perfectly fine. I'm pretty sure they didn't need saving, but anyway.
Yes.
And so there's this idea that he drove the snakes out of Ireland. There's some going back and forth on whether or not that was actually true. But, for the folks, it's a true thing. It's a real thing. They love a St. Patrick.
Yeah.
And can't knock them. That's your saint. That's your saint, bro.
Right.
And so, but here, so in the US was really the first celebration, like major over the top celebration of St. Patrick's Day. And I believe it happened in New York. If it wasn't New York, it was Boston. Because the Northeast, we love our Irish folks, and so that was one of the places that they settled. So of course they were going to have one of the first celebrations. I do know that originally the color was blue, but
Yes.
then
Yeah.
it switched to green, more out of like symbolism for
Hmm.
how beautiful Ireland is. And the fact that it's called the Emerald Isle. Have you been there?
I have not yet. Yes, I
My
definitely would love to
goodness.
go. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is one of
Yeah.
my most favorite places in the whole entire world. It is absolutely beautiful and it's just as green as everyone says. The people are incredible, just beautiful and kind people. There's just something about going to a place that actually has history and that
Yeah.
has like
Yeah.
real culture versus what we have here in America.
Hmm.
That is just like it speaks to you. And like we've had our conversations about like religion and stuff that i.e. the talks about they didn't need to be rescued from paganism, but the
Right.
structures that
Right.
are still standing there, it like you think about the people and when they built it, and it's
Hmm.
just yeah, it takes your breath away. But anyway, so that
Yeah. So so basically, in America we have taken something that was based on celebrating like heritage, that the color was blue. We took it here, we changed the color to green, and then
Mhm.
we added leprechauns and pinching to the like. What does that even
Oh
have to
my
do with anything?
gosh.
The leprechauns and the pinching.
I don't know what the pinching is about, but I guess it's part of that idea of like mischief and
Yeah.
trickery. Like you're supposed to I don't I don't know, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Cause I mean, I've never not worn green on St. Patrick's Day because I didn't want anybody to try me. However,
Right.
it's interesting to figure out. Hopefully, one of our listeners, if they know where that came from, I would love to
Mhm.
know. But I mean, it sounds with the leprechauns, mischief. If you don't wear green, you're gonna get pinched. That kind of correlates a little bit. So I think I
Yeah.
like that. So I like
Yeah,
that.
I'm
Yeah,
definitely think it's the tricky part. And so again, the leprechaun is a part of ancient Celtic folklore. They're these small fae or fairies, shoemakers by trade. You know, they always got them curled up or pointy shoes,
with the buckles,
and they're known to be tricksters, kind of like what is it? The bridge. Is it trolls?
trolls. Yeah,
Like bridge trolls.
like
That's what the remind.
they cousins really.
Yeah,
Trolls.
yeah, they cousins. Mhm.
I love
Mhm,
it.
they cousins. But there's nothing really malicious about them, like, you know, the whole idea is that there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And there's also this idea of, like, trying to find a leprechaun and trap a leprechaun, but also looking for the gold and blah, 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 and I've been at the end of a rainbow, there is no gold there.
There's
It's
nothing
pretty
there.
cool to be at the end of a rainbow, but
Yeah,
there's no
yeah,
gold.
yes,
And so yeah, that's more of
yeah.
like what we know about
Mm-hmm.
leprechauns and St. Patrick's Day to be.
Yeah,
I will say that I do have at least a half a pint of Guinness on St. Patrick's Day. That is the only beer that I will drink.
yeah,
Literally
yeah.
beer.
Definitely have done bar hopping on St. Patrick's Day, but that's just the way America celebrates St. Patrick's Day because I guess when
It is
you're,
one of the it is one of the holidays.
yeah, it is. Yeah. I don't know how offensive it is, but that's what we do.
It's really offensive.
Yeah,
Because
that's what we
it
do.
feeds into like unrealistic stereotypes. It's real
A hundred
offensive.
percent.
But we'll turn
100%.
a party. I will turn anything into a party. It's wild.
Just wait till Juneteenth becomes that, but nonetheless. Fast forwarding, so a few centuries after all of the true heritage of, St. Patrick's Day, Hollywood got a hold of it. They sprinkled a little magic on it, and that tricky little cute shoemaker fairy, which is interesting because I'm trying to figure out how did it go from like this little cute fairy to like a little person, a little bigger than a fairy. They now have these sharp razor teeth.
Mhm.
They are homicidal maniacs. They're obsessed with the pot of gold because
Minute.
in the legend, it doesn't say that they're obsessed with the gold as if it's their gold. They're just protecting the gold, right? But
Right,
now in
right.
the movies, like he's crazy for gold, anything gold, shining shoes and gold, right?
Mm.
So
Belt buckles.
belt buckles, like so that was his goal up in the movie. It was all about the
Mhm.
gold, all about the shoes. And so, what did you think really about this series, The Leprechaun?
Okay, so it's one of those things that it's a cult, you know, it feels like a cult classic. If it isn't considered one yet, it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
It launched several careers, like surprisingly, we'll get into that in a little bit. But
Mm-hmm.
it was funny. Like it was just funny. It was an absolute mess. It's one of those things that like you just randomly joke about. I don't know if there's any other way that they could have done it. I don't Are there any other St. Patrick's Day, like, horror movies? I don't think so.
They have tried to duplicate. They all go back to the same Leprechaun formula, though. So it's kind of like I
Yeah.
might as well watch the Leprechaun if I'm going to go with this. But they have a few. They tried. That's all we can say. They tried.
They tried. The last one that came out was a mess. It was a mess.
Hmm.
But we can talk about the first one. Like, let's talk about
Yes.
the
Let's yeah. Let's
first.
let's jump into that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first one launched the career of Jennifer Aniston.
Yes.
For those of y'all who didn't know that, I know you're like, wait, what are you talking about? Yes. Jennifer Aniston's very first movie was The Leprechaun, of all things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that
I mean,
just shows you you
it was
can
a good
start from
role.
nothing.
It was a good role for her. She did that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Role. And so what happened in the first movie? This was released in '93.
Hmm.
So how did the leprechaun come to be in the first one? It was like a
He,
crate. He was put in a crate or something.
yeah, like he was, didn't they find him in a crate and they accidentally came across him and who got his gold? I don't remember that.
I'm not sure exactly who got the. I think it was like an old man who owned the farm because they were on a farm and
Yeah,
they accidentally opened them and released them. I think they were in like North Dakota, one of those like those more rural type places. And so he just goes on a rampage just to collect every piece of gold because you can't have one piece. He gonna
no,
kill the whole family for one piece of gold.
one single piece of gold. And don't let you accidentally have a piece. Like he don't care.
He don't care.
He does not care.
And I guess he does. Does he stay true to the myth? Because the myth says like if you catch the leprechaun, you get three wishes. So everyone in the movies always are like, oh, I want my wishes. Like if I can't have the gold, I want my wishes. So
Hmm.
I know in later leprechauns he does those, but I'm not sure about in the first one because I know it was all about him getting that piece of gold, and they were like, what is this little dude? So it was really isolated on the first one, but I think that made it good. And so 10-year-old me loved this.
Same,
Yeah,
same.
it was great. Watching it now, everything's ridiculous in it. Every single piece of it,
It's
from the
so
beginning to the
absurd.
end, it's ridiculous. And but 10-year-old me, this was the best thing. I question my parents for allowing me to watch it. Nonetheless, my daughter
It's
can
another
never.
one to add to the list.
Yes, yes, I call CPS now. But nonetheless, I watched it and I loved it. Now they kept bringing them out back to back because I don't know. The '80s and the '90s was about bringing it out fast. So Leprechaun 2, and we still on the okay side of Leprechaun at this point. So Leprechaun 2 was 1994, and so evidently they got rid of him somehow. They got him back in the crate, but in part two, I think this is more when he's trying to find his bride. So
Yep,
you remember this one? This is
I
and
do.
she had to be a virgin.
Yep,
What we know about that when
always.
we were 11? Like so this whole purity thing. So it was like on his 1,000th birthday, he's free to like kidnap a beautiful girl and make her his bride. And so he's in like this whole underground cave type thing.
Yeah. And then there's this kid who I think this is where it starts with trying to capture him to get wishes, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Because I think he was just trying, it was something about his girlfriend.
hmm
Wait, was his girlfriend the bride?
Yes, I think so. I think he was trying to free the girlfriend because he had some bracelet or something on her. So every time she tried to escape the little tree root
Yep, she would
system,
come back.
he would come
That
right
tree.
back. That's like a really nice little tree house he had going on. So it completely got rid of everybody from the first one, which is kind of rare for those '80s, '90s movies. Typically, you'll have somebody that
Is
followed,
that,
right?
yeah, but is that, when did Friends come out?
Probably midnight.
So it might be around the time that Friends came out and she
She had to go.
moved on over.
I mean, you got to start with the horror movies. That's how you become famous.
Listen, that's how we got Jamie Lee Curtis.
That's right. I'll take it, right? And Kevin. So, yeah, so this one was pretty much all about him getting, I hate to say it, but laid, really. Getting married, getting his boo. It's been 1,000 lonely years. He want his bride, right?
Those are lonely years.
It's been 1,000 lonely years. He is ready. And so that's what this one is all about. Of course, he did not get his way. She was
Hmm.
rescued in this
Hmm.
one. And then within a year, we had part three. So,
It feels like, so the way that they pump these out, right? Like it felt like, what was that channel that movies just went straight to back in the day? Oh my gosh, I can't
was
remember.
it
It
like
might have been,
USA or something?
no, it might have been like sci-fi before sci-fi became the sci-fi that we
Yes, I
know
loved
it
all
to
of
be.
those channels. Yeah, I loved them all as a kid.
Yeah, and so they had to have filmed and then filmed and then filmed like back to back to back to be able to put one out each year.
Yeah.
Or or you know what? Let me not give them that much credit because these movies were not that good. They
Yeah.
saw
Yeah.
the
Yeah, they were
level of
not.
success and they were like, "We film tomorrow. Let's
And
go. We
the
can ad lib."
crazy part is not none of them are amazing movies, right?
Mm-mm.
But the first three are the better ones.
Yeah.
The other ones took some years in between,
Mhm.
and they just sorry, but they get worse as time goes on. They get worse.
They truly do. But no, my boy got he had him a little party. He was on the playground basically when he
Hmm.
ended up in Vegas in number three because there's just gold everywhere.
It's gold
Man,
in people's mouth, on canes, on fingers. He want it all.
which one? Okay, now because they all kind of run together sometimes when you have
Hmm.
this many.
They do. They do.
Which one was it when he ripped out the earring? Was it the nose ring that he ripped
I
off?
think it was. I think he took a gold tooth too. It was.
Yes.
I think that was like between 3 and 5. In
Okay.
between one of them, it had to be either 3 or 5. But I'm pretty sure there was something he was at. Like he was. It was a pawn shop owner. This is the one where they realized that lead, I think, is his enemy. Did they realize that before? They might have in part one that lead was kind of like you could put them in like a lead box. Because I'm not sure if the other ones were lead, but maybe in part two they put him in lead, and then he showed up in Vegas. He was yes, he
Hmm.
was transported to Las Vegas. It had a magical medallion, and that's when the pawn
Oh
shop
my
person had it
God.
or something.
Him and that damn medallion.
And
We
this
should
is when
have
he started
known.
grinning. Yes,
He should have known that number five was coming based on the medallion. Like we're
the
not gonna skip over
medallion.
here yet, but
Yes,
we should
yes,
have known that that
yes.
was the direction they were gonna go with him. Anyway, so
So
you know, number
this is the
four.
one when he does the wishes is part three, by the way. So that's when
Okay, okay, okay.
but he always twists it. So if you say I want gold, I want to be filthy rich or full
Hmm.
of gold, he'll put like a pot of gold in your stomach, which of course is going to kill you. So that's kind of how he does that. And it's for anyone who touches his gold can get the wishes. So, but yes, part four. And if for the listeners, if you've seen any of the other ones, you know how I feel about this one. So it's Leprechaun 4 in space. Why? So pretty much I'm a believer that once you put them in space, like the franchise is like going downhill. It's like a crashing ship at this point. Like what's going on? So not
Expect the
really
movies
sure.
to go straight to USA,
With that
sci-fi,
damn blockbuster, went straight to
straight
blockbuster.
to the red box.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where else was it going? It was just
Hmm.
going, yeah. It wasn't going to anybody's movie theater.
Yeah.
That was for
And
sure.
I'm not sure exactly how he even got in space, but I know he is trying to kidnap another princess. Just so happened an alien princess this time to marry her, but he's eventually killed by like some space heroes, Marines. I guess maybe they were a part of that might have been the inspiration for Space Force. I don't know.
Girl.
The space space Marines. So, but he's reborn somehow at this point because this is just part four. We got like four more to go. So somehow
Yeah.
he pulls like a Jason on us and he is reborn. I think it has something to do with like some urine on somebody urinated on him or something
And why
happened.
is that
Something.
so random? Like,
It's so random.
why is that how he came back?
Yeah.
Who sat
Yeah.
there in the writer's room and said, I've got it?
It's a
Take a
stream
pee
of
on it.
gold. It's a stream of gold. He got a golden shower. Come on now. You got to stick with it. You got to stick with the plot.
I mean, I guess, but technically, the peanut's supposed to be yellow.
It's
Okay?
not.
As
It's not.
my high school cross country coach used to tell us, pee clear, pee clear.
This one was golden for him, so it was that powerful urine. And so after that, he takes over the spaceship and terrorizes the whole space. I mean,
Of course.
I think I watched this one once. I just couldn't.
Right.
Like you can keep all anything that goes to space. The only thing I ever liked from space was those if the movie started there and that was how the origin
That's
of the
different.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah. So aliens, of course, predator, love them, love them, love them. Even the little, the what's do you remember the little ball monsters, critters?
Yep.
And it was another one too. All of them I love. The ones that look like little porcupines. All of them were cute. They all came from space. What Leprechaun didn't come from space? What he doing there?
What, like, who brought, yeah, again, who in the writer's room was like, space. Space is
Space.
it. No, space is like your weight. That is
Mm-hmm.
just the start of
Mm-hmm.
the procession to your burial because we already know ain't nothing good coming after. Watch, people are gonna be like, oh my gosh, I'll never be able to watch a movie that goes to space the same way again. As you shouldn't.
Yeah. And then I mean, space was bad enough, but then part 5 and 6 made up for space, I guess.
Yeah. Listen, I actually
When it's not scary anymore at this point.
it's not scary anymore. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna lie, like number one and number five are my favorite.
Okay.
Number five is Leprechaun in the Hood. It just got absurd at that point. Like it just got absurd. Can we talk about the magic flute in the rap group?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's how you get famous. That's how it happens.
Hmm.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just want to know where he kept getting all these goodies from. Like it was always something new, a medallion, a flute. It was always
He,
something, a bracelet.
he got
Hmm.
everybody got a plug. We just don't know who the plug is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
And
so,
also, who thought he was gonna thrive in LA, in the black part of LA? Like who, you know, he did his damage, but who thought he was gonna
yeah.
thrive?
Now was Ice-T in this one or the next one?
I think
Was
he was
he
in
in
the
one of
next one.
them? Okay,
What?
okay.
Listen, you're gonna have me looking it up. I don't remember.
Because when he was in, he had some type of debut in one of them. But well,
Hmm.
it probably was the first one with the hip hop group. That would make sense. But sense doesn't matter at this point. But yeah, so the first one was part 5 was all about making this hip hop group successful with the flute. And then
He was
the
in it.
second one.
He was
Okay,
in
was
it.
it was the first one?
He was in. Yep, he was in there. So it was him, Anthony Montgomery, Red Grant, who's a comedian. As soon as you add comedians, like known comedians, then we know it's
It's
over.
over. It's over.
Coolio was in this one.
It was just a mess. This was their way of trying to engage. They were like, okay, everyone, face didn't work. Let's try to get the black community. Let's go. That was their jump into the hood. And so I don't really recall Back to the Hood very much. Did you watch this one?
I honestly think that after Leprechaun in the Hood, I gave up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Until recently, I
Yeah.
did because I
Yeah.
was like, "Nah, y'all are doing too much." Because why did we need to go back to the Hood?
Yeah. And they did it 3 years after the original Hood one was the second
Mm-hmm.
one. And
Mm-hmm.
so let's say part 1 through 6 spanned from 93 to 2003. So 10 years worth of movies, six movies. So I thought it was done. I didn't think I would ever see another one after after Back to the Hood is like throw the whole movie away at this point. But then they wanted to do a reboot. And so and it wasn't completely horrible, but it wasn't good either, right? And so this
No.
one is Leprechaun Origins because they completely changed everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes, they changed it, but like I almost get it
Mhm.
because we're talking about where he started.
Yeah.
I don't know how he went from being the monster that he is in
To
Origins to
yeah.
being this little troll in the
Lucky
other movies.
Charms. He turned to Lucky Charms in the
He
other
sure did.
movies.
Sure
He was
did.
all cute and stuff.
Lucky
Yeah.
Charms on that stuff. Um, but I can kind of get it. Like the I don't think he was always going to be, but at the same time, because we're back in Ireland in this one, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
The
Yeah.
lore isn't about a monster, and so unless I mean obviously
Mhm.
we're Americans, so well not obviously because we could be from Canada. But anyway, but we are American, and so we don't know all of the things. There's plenty for us to learn, and I might go and look it up just because I'm a nerd and I like to learn stuff like this.
Right.
But as far as we know, he was a leprechaun was a fae. and so they were small. And I don't remember
Yeah.
Fae in any of the things that I've read about Fae and fairies, them being monsters like
Yeah,
that.
violent or anything. Yeah. Yeah. And this one, it's pretty much they messed with his shrine and then he went and got him. And I want to say around this time, this was the time where they were trying to bring all those classics back. So 2014, and they were trying to make them darker. And this was their attempt to do that. You know, around this time, I think they did the same thing to Nightmare on Elm Street, even though we pretend that that one does not exist because they went too dark and it was a failure. They did the same thing with Jason, with Halloween. They tried to go and get those classics and just make them dark. I don't think that it doesn't always work the way they think it's gonna work. It worked fine with Jason and maybe Michael Myers a little bit, but the Freddys and the we like them not dark.
Yeah.
Right. If you talk, you can't be dark. Leprechaun talks. Freddy Krueger talks. Leave the dark to the silent guys.
Why are we just now talking about him talking?
Mm-hmm.
Because he says the most ridiculous thing.
All the rhymes.
I mean,
All
just
the
like
rhymes.
constantly rhyming, but it's always just the most absurd thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why we can never take him serious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's me gold. Who stole me gold? Okay. But I mean, yes, to your point though, he says the craziest stuff that's gonna be funny, which is why progressively the more he talked, the funnier the movies got, right? He was the even without a comedian in the movie, he was the comedian.
He was the comedian. Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
So I don't even think the monster in the reboot talked. I don't think so at all. It was just a monster, right?
I
Because it changed.
think
It changed. I don't. I've only watched it once. It changed the tone. It changed how it looked, and it was like just going after the tourist in Ireland. And so I don't even. If it did, it wasn't. I know it wasn't enjoyable like what the original Leprechaun was saying. It was. They
yeah.
really tried to make it like a for real monster movie.
Like I said, I did not see this one or the one that came out 2018 because I was just like, you know what, enough is enough.
Yeah.
But I remember the previews and stuff for it and thinking like, see, this is why I want to watch this because enough is enough.
Mhm.
Like, where are y'all going? But I do know that 2018 was supposed to be a tie back to the original, but they did what everybody else did around 2008, like that mid 2000s time
Yeah.
period of bringing sororities into things.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
played. It was played when it first happened. It's still played. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Yeah. Well, one that I saw that I skipped ahead to, and that I'm like, why did I even waste my time? And I knew I should have just stopped with Leprechaun in the Hood. I knew it
Mhm.
because it would have saved the franchise for me. Was Leprechaun the beginning?
Mhm.
Well, it's on one of the free things. It's on one of the
Mhm.
free ones now, as it should be,
Mhm. Mhm.
because it is horrible. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. First of all, the Leprechaun is at least 5'7".
Problem one. You taller than me. What is the problem?
He and I are looking eye to eye, and I'm
Mhm.
not short by any means.
Mhm.
Um, his green ain't so green anymore, and at one point you could see where they did not fully paint his ear. After I noticed that, I couldn't really focus. The acting was terrible. The plot line was absurd. I said, "This is absolutely a Tubi movie," because what?
Yeah.
And how is this
Yeah.
the beginning? This is not
Yeah.
the beginning of
Yeah.
anything. Like this is not. Yeah, they listen. When I say I'm done with a movie, I just need to be done with a movie.
Right.
I be watching some of these movies for y'all.
Yeah. Some horror movies are hilarious, and if you want a good, just unserious laugh, sometimes you just have to do it. And see, I
Hmm.
haven't watched the Leprechaun Beginnings, but I watched Leprechaun Returns, and so they did that one in 2018. It was like the attempt to better connect, and
Hmm.
again, I just feel like in America, horror movies jump on bandwagons.
They
And
sure do.
so the bandwagon then was you know what? The rest of them were too campy. Let's get rid of them and let's just go from part one or two to this one. They did that with Halloween. I think they tried to do it with Jason. So so they did from the '93 version, the original one, and connected it straight to this one. So it's a direct sequel. They just ignore all the other ones. But it didn't come across well, even though it's like you said, it brings the whole sorority sisters, awakening people. I'm awakening the leprechaun, and it stayed with the same, the same program, and it just a leprechaun running around killing everybody horribly,
Yeah,
unnecessarily. Like,
make it make it more interesting if you're gonna
yeah,
do it. Don't do what
hmm
everybody else is doing. Try something
hmm
live, right? Shoot,
yes,
at this point, what haven't y'all done? I guess you can make animals talk
yeah, hmm hmm
and send him after the animals, I guess.
I would like to see multiple leprechauns. Cause are they just alone? Is there like a little leprechaun like slash Smurf village somewhere? Like I want
Would
to
you
see that.
say?
Okay, like I want to see where they come from. Like, do they have parents? How long do they live? I want to know more about them. What do they like? What are their hobbies? Right? They got to do more. It's kind of like are they like genies in a lamp? I need to know. I need to know.
Please.
Like,
What
cause think about it. Yes, they kept finding him, but traditionally leprechauns aren't somewhere like in a box, like a genie, because the genie's in the lamp. But a leprechaun, is he alone because he's been around for 500, 1,000 years or something, or was there like millions of them in Ireland? Like I need to know more detail. So I would love the
Listen,
origins to be that
it might be this like noble thing where he gave up the
hmm
life that he wanted just to protect
the
his
gold.
wee pot of gold.
So how do you get chosen? How do you apply for that job? I need to know more. Like, are you like the fifth child that born on the moon, the full moon? You are the keeper of the gold. Like, I need to know more.
I think you have to be born on March 17th.
That makes sense.
I
That
believe
I
that
like
you've
it.
got to have Irish ancestry,
hmm
and you got to be able to wear the shoes and the hat. I
So
think.
all leprechauns don't run around with green on, is what I'm hearing. It's what they just got
No,
regular clothes on. Like, but
yeah,
once you become that dude, you wearing green.
right. Because I mean, maybe once you become green, you're evil. Because most of the leprechauns I've seen don't have green skin.
Oh, I just thought about it. I know what happens to the people who don't become the leprechaun who protect him. That's the trolls. They
Yeah,
end up under the bridge. They're under the bridge. That's what happens to them. That full
but
circle
they get to.
makes complete
So
sense.
then, so then the leprechaun must be like pun and no pun intended, the redheaded stepchild,
hmm
because he has to be by himself. But trolls get to go and have friends and have
hmm
families and,
But they under the
go on
bridge.
world tours, I guess.
Oh, that's true. That is true. That is true. I used to love them back in the day. I love it. I love it with the little stones on their bellies. I love that. So yeah, so as y'all can see, this tangent is just as ridiculous as the Leprechaun franchise. It is not to be taken seriously, right? It
Not,
is not to be taken seriously. So if you're looking for a movie to like scare you, look at the first one and stop and then prepare to laugh. Like the first one had some little jump scares. I ain't gonna lie. He had a little car he was driving or something in the first or second one.
yeah.
And I know you said the first and the fifth one was your favorite. I would say the first and second one is my favorite.
Okay.
It's definitely the first one the best, the second one, and then the third one for me when he's in Vegas. And then after that, it just declines at that point. I just to the point of no return. Definitely a B movie. It's not one of those
Absolutely.
A movies. But you better believe we checked these movies out at Blockbuster on Fridays when they dropped. We did.
They did
And
not go
so,
to the movie theater.
because they did not go to the movie theaters. But this is, if you like campy stuff, if you like hearing rhymes before people are massacred or whatnot, this is the movie for you.
You want to hear a hip hop flute before hip hop flute was popular?
hmm
We got you.
Before Lizzo, yes, I love that. Yes, and so yes, So I guess the what we gathering from this is probably needs more, St. Patrick's Day movies. The only other St. Patrick's Day movies that I've seen typically are about bars. There is a horror one I think that's on Hulu, and it's about bar hopping and aliens invading bodies or something like that. So that one
That's
was
not cool.
decent.
That's not what we're doing. We're not perpetuating stereotypes.
Yes,
We,
exactly.
we're taking mythical creatures
Yes,
and making them monsters.
yes. Which is probably still a stereotype for the little people community, but nonetheless, that's what we're doing
Yeah,
here.
because they used a little person, but like,
Hmm.
yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
They should have just
So
made
what?
it a fairy.
They should have just made it up there. But then we really didn't have the whole technology that we have, now. So that's maybe they should
Girl, we
reboot it
had what you talking about?
in '93.
We definitely had Tinkerbell.
Oh yeah. Did we have
Remember
a
Jennifer?
movie with Tinker?
Remember Jennifer? What was it? Not Jennifer Roberts. What is her name?
I don't remember that. I meant to look that up.
Why am I forgetting this woman's name? Her last name is Roberts. She was in Pretty Woman. Y'all, don't come for me. It's
I
almost
pre-
Julia Roberts.
sent Julia Roberts, and yes,
It's almost 10 o'clock at night. Listen.
yep, yep. It's bedtime. But with that said, check it out if you haven't checked it out. Don't expect much.
Mhm.
Warn you. I'm not gonna say don't watch it, but watch it and be ready to laugh. That's it. So, where can they hear from us more or follow us? I'm Dominique.
So you can watch us on YouTube. You can listen to us on Spotify. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, all at Therapy Sessions.
Yep. So, if you want to hear about more hilarious scary movies or dive deeper into why the scary ones scare us so much, come join us at the next session. If we forgot any movies about leprechauns that we need to go see, please let us know. I know there's some Tubi
Yeah.
ones out there somewhere that we're missing. But until
Yeah.
next time, we'll chat with you later.
We'll see you
Bye.
next session. Bye.